Thank you.
Saved by the bell.
The
some
bell
might
has
say.
saved me.
What's up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome back to another episode of the What the Fanboy Show.
Oh my goodness.
Can you believe it, Luke?
I can't.
I thought today feels weird.
It feels like a Monday.
It feels like a Monday.
Because it was the first day of the work week.
We watched football yesterday.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to be very confused getting up and going to work tomorrow.
I went to work today. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was me. It was my boss and I were the only two in our area in the building. So he's like, hey, I'm going to order pizza. It's like, sick.
Dope. I love it. But yeah, tonight we are going to be chatting about Rebel Moon, A Murder at the End of the World, Leave the World Behind, Gran Turismo, some other things. It's not Monday night, which feels weird. Usually our show is live on Mondays, but because of the holiday, we all were in various states of plans. So we thought better late than never.
Just like randomly popped.
Tyler, you good over there?
No.
Oh no.
I was sitting here and I was like doing this, like kind of stretching, you know?
Yeah.
And my shoulder was like, I was like, oh.
Oof.
I died a little bit inside.
Please stop.
Okay.
What was worse, that shoulder or your Achilles?
In terms of pain, probably my shoulder.
Oh gosh.
Dude, the Achilles
But
didn't
it's
hurt.
stress-wise, though.
Oh, like...
Probably still the shoulder, I'd assume. Because it just happened. Achilles is done.
Yeah, Achilles is done for now until I do it again. But
it's always the most recent.
Yeah.
Like my tummy kind of hurts, so that's the thing that bothers me most.
It happens.
Fair enough.
You know?
Fair enough.
Life comes at you fast.
If you don't stop to... No, wait, that's not right. So, before we get into our Rebel Moon review... Tyler's excited. Let's chat about some new trailers. Did we get any new trailers this week?
Well, there is a Rebel Moon 2 trailer, but we should probably wait till after we
I suppose we should wait till after we review Rebel Moon.
Here, let's go to YouTube
before we talk about that trailer.
Baroque, we're sorry that you had to
movie trailers
rearrange your schedule to accommodate this.
But we appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here, though. Thank you so much.
I'm still pointing this way because the camera used to be right here. We appreciate you. Hey, I appreciate you. Old Land of Bad trailer. Never heard of it. Russell Crowe. There's Jeremy Jahns.
Oh, did he review Rebel Moon? I'm very curious to hear what he has to say.
Right?
Yeah, he reviewed it. He reviews every movie, or most movies.
That are in the cultural zeitgeist.
Not seeing a lot of trailers.
It's a weird time.
It's not. The holiday season is
most of those new. You know, if there was a big new DC movie coming out next summer, it would have been probably tacked on to Aquaman. And unfortunately, it is kind of the end of the DC EU era as we know it. We're going into the new DC
R.I.P.
universe.
DCEU.
Luke,
2013 to 2023.
if you're on,
less than 10 years.
If you're over on Twitter, Luke put out his definitive ranking.
Yeah, I was the only person that went and saw Aquaman because I don't have children to look after.
I thought you were gonna throw us on the bus like I'm the only real fan.
Yeah, right.
No, nobody cares about these movies.
Brett and I are planning to get out and see it.
Yeah,
hopefully this week. So
yeah,
Yep.
I put out my ranking of all the DCU movies. Gave like a couple quick thoughts on them. Honestly, they're a little better than I remember most of those movies.
Oh yeah,
but there's just a weird stigma around every single one at this point.
yeah, it is weird. Like when I went,
And it's not even. I'm not even talking about Snyder stuff.
No,
just every single one had its own thing.
Had its own like production
It
struggle.
did, yeah.
But yep. Go look at my list. It's on Letterboxd. I posted on Twitter and Instagram and I think Facebook too, because now my Instagram story goes to Facebook.
nice.
Oh, you fancy.
Well, I'm 31. I feel like I should post on a Facebook.
You've aged into Facebook.
That's where I feel like most of the people my age are back on Facebook. So I was like, okay, let's do it. I don't like Facebook though.
Me either.
So I won't be doing.
I use it for Marketplace most of the time.
Right? Hey, I
Okay.
used it for Marketplace today.
Dude, what kind of cool stuff can I find? I found some pretty good bargains on there.
Looking for bone saw.
Well, it was.
I bought a little kitchen for my daughter.
A whole kitchen?
Yeah, dude.
Dang.
Island and all.
Wow.
What's she cooking?
Everything.
Anything you guys get for Christmas that you want to like? What was there a highlight, a gift, something you bought for yourself?
I
Worth mentioning.
I got a zoo membership.
Love
I
it.
love the zoo.
Zoos
Great
are awesome.
gift. Great
And
gift.
I'm really excited for the weather to get better and go there as much as I can. Another thing that I got, and it was a really last minute thing I added to my list. I just texted my mom and I was like, "Hey, remember this thing you got? Remember that Marvel book I got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has like every single character ever." I was like, "Hey, mom, remember that book you gave me, the Marvel one? Can you find that, but about space stuff?" And she found a book that was 1,000 facts about space.
Dude,
Ooh.
nice.
Yeah, I should have brought it tonight because
You should.
it's got a lot of cool pictures and some really cool facts in there.
That's awesome.
So
Nice.
I love space, man. It's so cool. I love it.
I got a few things. My daughter and I got a tandem gift. We got
Tandem bike.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem on Blu-ray. So that's
Awesome.
super exciting. Really
Heck
looking
yeah.
forward to that. I got John Wick 4.
Cool.
Very excited to watch that one again.
Do you own them all now?
I do. Yeah, that was a
Nice.
nice pickup. And then I think, the gift that I texted you guys about, I thought was just the coolest thing in the world. And one of the most thoughtful gifts I think I've ever received. And I did not expect my brother to be the one to give me this. I got my own book embossing tool. It came with a book as well. My brother bought me American Gods by Neil Gaiman, which shout out. Hunter, thank you for that. And Lily.
Oh, I thought you were shouting out Neil Gaiman.
Also Neil Gaiman, shout out. But no, I have my own book embossing tool. Basically, with my own custom logo. So now when I get books or books from my bookshelf that I decide to emboss, we'll have a logo that says "From the Library of," and then it says my name in cursive at the bottom. And they made me my own custom logo,
That's awesome.
which is really cool. And it's a rocket ship blasting off with like planets all around it.
Oh,
And I was like, man, that was a really cool gift.
That's super thoughtful.
And it's not something. It's not like $1,000. You know what I mean? Like it's just something small that I really appreciated. So made me really happy.
Love it.
That's awesome.
I also my brother-in-law Reed also bought me Super Mario Wonder.
Oh,
I haven't got to play it yet, but I'm really looking forward to it.
nice.
So
Love
some
it.
pod relative things.
That's really cool. I got a couple books. Stephanie got me this illustrated edition of The Hobbit, illustrated by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Money.
As a collector of books, but not much of a reader of one, that still makes
Hey,
me
you
happy.
can't say that now.
I did finish a book this week. We're going to talk about that later.
Proud of you.
And then sitting over there behind the camera is my new copy of Murtaugh.
Are you starting that next?
I think so.
You're gonna wait on the second book of the series?
I think so.
You got a year.
I've got a little while.
What about To Sleep in a Sea of Stars?
That'll
Or
be
Dune.
number 3.
Or Dune.
Or Dune, yeah.
Just wait for the movie with Dune.
So many books. So many books to get to.
Or Ready Player One.
But then the one that I bought for myself was on Marketplace. I found myself a new camera lens. Been-
And we're using it right now.
We're not. That's a lie.
Jump the gun on that one.
If we were, it would be super cool. It's a 16 to 35 millimeter Sony G Master lens. So
G Master,
I
eh?
don't know what that means. Sounds pretty cool though.
it's pretty nice.
Sounds like
pretty nice.
a character I need to write into a D&D campaign. Sony G Master.
Oh my goodness.
Sounds like a NPC monk.
You must go find the G Master.
What?
I don't know. Nope, didn't work. I tried it. It didn't work. Tyler, don't write that into
Can't
our
find it.
D&D campaign. Let's talk about something.
Actually, that would fit into a D&D campaign so much better than I care to admit. But
Let's talk about something else that didn't work. Oh, did I bury the lead? Maybe just for
all
me.
the leads were buried in this.
Maybe just for
movie.
me. Yeah, let's talk about Rebel Moon. This
maybe
is
just for you. Yeah, maybe.
Zack Snyder's. This is his first sci-fi.
Hold on. Is this Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon? Is it?
This is Netflix's Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon.
Or are we gonna get Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon here?
No, we're gonna get Zack Snyder's Netflix's Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon.
Man, that's a long title. Part
one.
The Child of
Fire.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I'm mixing the two.
Yeah.
A child of a scar giver.
The Scar of the Child.
The Scar of the Child Giver.
Oh my gosh. Guys, I wanted to like this movie.
Did you?
I did. I love sci-fi, and we don't have enough variety. We get some great stuff in TV these days, but in terms of like big feature films, like we talked earlier this year about The Creator, nothing terribly new there, but
it's so good.
It's still good, right? Like it has a, I don't know, it has a cohesiveness that this just lacks.
It has cohesiveness and interesting characters and good visuals and fun action.
It has it all. And Rebel Moon, despite being completely, and maybe this is the problem, maybe it is now time to address this as the problem. With Zack Snyder full creative control.
Zack Snyder,
full creative control.
Rob Schneider. Could Rob Schneider make a better movie than this?
Deuce Bigelow 3.
Look, I did not like this. I think this is a hot mess. Maybe not even a hot mess. This is a cold mess. There's just so little that remotely works. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Go ahead.
We did the exact same thing. Yeah, like I didn't even know what to write down for this movie. I feel like it's hard to even call it that. I feel like it's just a collection of scenes that sometimes maybe have some connective tissue, and most of the times they don't. The only thing connecting them is characters, which you know nothing about and you don't care about. I think this movie's been done 1,000 times, and all of them have been done better.
It's surprising to me, given Snyder's apparent style. Like, he's certain. None of us would sit here and say Zack Snyder is a bland director. He at least, I feel like in all of his other films, he at least has a perspective. He has something about it that makes it either visually interesting or, Man of Steel, I think he's saying something interesting about Superman and what it means to be that powerful, right? And so to come into, I get that this is maybe a new genre for him, but to say nothing of interest at all and do a carbon copy of so many films, steal from films or borrow from films. Like, I get it.
It's like almost impossible.
Nothing's original, but yeah. It's. I don't know. It's not homage, and it's not riffing off an idea. It just feels uninspired.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting over here trying to gather thoughts. How do I put it eloquently of what I thought in this movie? Just like blanket statement about the movie. And all I can really come up with was it was horrible. What? I'm not a writer. I don't have to be beautiful with my words. But yeah, it was horrible. I don't think there's really anything good about it.
I wish I could disagree.
Like, I
spent the last 2 days trying to think of, okay, what is redeemable in this film? Like, what is that one thing that like stands out? And I can't.
There's nothing.
It feels like an 2.5 hour. Not that long. How long is the movie?
2:15.
Feels like a 2 hour and 15-minute trailer for part 2.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by it's a collection of scenes that maybe are loosely put together.
Yeah.
I effectively live texting my viewing experience to Brett, and I just kept asking questions.
Great. It's fantastic.
It's like, why are we here? Why is this character doing this? Do these characters even talk to each other? How many times in this movie are we watching the audition of a new team member, and all we get of these other actors, which the cast in this movie should be good. Like, on paper, you have some pretty good actors in this cast, and all you get is a reaction shot of them every 20 or so minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They don't interact with each other. Very little. Character motivations are as basic as it gets. There's no character in the entire film that has any sort of nuance.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to this movie. It is a paper thin movie with a promised universe that is way too big for Zack Snyder to handle himself.
Yeah.
And it's 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it feels so much longer.
It feels so long, and then it ends.
It is so boring.
Yeah,
it's so boring. Like, and I feel like one of the expectations going into a movie directed by Zack Snyder is it's going to look good and it's going to have good action.
Yeah, you'll have cool action.
Neither is true in this movie. And one of the things I keep seeing about people talking about, they're like, man, it's not really that good. It's kind of hollow, but it looks good. And I couldn't disagree more. I think first of all, it has the same filters as all of his other movies.
They probably have that motion smoothing on their TVs turned on. So
maybe that's why it looks good, yeah.
But like,
or they're watching it at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Like, one of the first shots is Sofia Boutella farming on her planet, and there's this giant Saturn behind her.
Not Saturn, but it is Saturn.
Yeah.
It's a gas giant with rings.
Yeah, and it just looks off immediately. And I don't even know why. It's just like, what? Why does that look weird?
You're like, either this, yeah. The first thought to me was, oh, did they do this in a volume? And then my second thought was, well, okay, if not, it was obviously blue or green screen. But what a horrible job at that. Like,
it's like the blue screen was right next to them when they were shooting.
It feels like there was no depth.
There's no space.
There's no depth there.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of movies in space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got him.
The other thing in that scene too, like you talk about how it looks, the lighting looks weird.
Yeah.
Like, you can see where their lights are fixed around the cameras, because you can see the light bouncing off of Sofia Boutella's shoulder in that scene specifically. And then it like flips to the other perspective, and you can see the lights in the background. Those lights are so far away. You're like, there's no way the light would bounce this way. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so you're like, oh, well, that light is probably 6 feet from her.
Yeah.
And they didn't fix it.
Kind of with lighting, and this is a different version of lighting, but lots of times they'll use lighting and smoke and debris to kind of hide special effects.
Yeah.
There's so much of it in this movie. Like, the third act fight scene is entirely smoke and flashing lights. And they're just... It looked so bad, and it looked like they're just standing on their little set doing their fight with volume or screen around, and it was just smoke, and then a laser would go off, and it'd be the brightest laser, and it'd just blind everything. And I feel like they're trying to hide stuff. But it doesn't look good.
It does, no.
I would agree.
I think back, we kind of intro talked about how this is 10 years since Man of Steel, right? Mm-hmm. And like, you think of the visuals in that film and like the vistas and the things that obviously could not be shot real, right? Like they did not go to Antarctica to shoot some of those really cool, really good looking scenes, and yet the sky replacement in this, the environment replacement in this, just does not work. Mm-hmm. Action, Snyder, I think, has gotten more and more egregious with his slow-mo, and it interrupts what could be decent action. I actually don't think much of the action in this film is well choreographed, but he uses slow-mo in the weirdest places.
He used it for an entire fight scene.
Yeah.
An entire fight scene.
He also used it to drop seeds in the dirt.
Yeah. But I just... and Tyler and I were texting about this after he was done watching it. To me, it feels like he is trying to reinvent cinema in some way. And I think the reinvention or progress, or I don't know if progress is the right word, but kind of that, there are times when cinema gets kind of turned
on its head.
Yeah. And I don't ever think those are intentional.
Right.
I think that's just something about the process working in a way that wasn't anticipated, and it just happens.
And when it happens, it's amazing.
And all I'm seeing...
Well, wasn't that like why so many people talk about like Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just did like a couple things different, and it changed movie making for years.
Yeah. No, admittedly...
I haven't seen it, so I actually don't know.
No. I guess, I think what I respect about certain directors, especially ones who are as stylized as Snyder likes to be, is that they tend to say, we know that this is not, and Snyder may say that his films aren't for everyone, but like, they kind of, Wes Anderson has his niche, right? And he kind of does the same thing over and over again, but like, he doesn't spend $190 million doing it, I guess. And it doesn't have to be marketed to everyone. And I just kind of wish Snyder would fall into that. If he's going to continue to make movies this way, just find a smaller story, do it your way, and just drop the social media act.
He'll never do that.
Because I think that influences the film just as much as the film. I try to take that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, look, the film's still not good even when I do take that out, but that certainly doesn't help.
Yeah.
When he's got this persona about him.
And his cronies.
Yeah.
That just assault anybody who has a negative opinion about anything he
Can't
makes.
wait for the comments.
Yeah.
Score's not good.
No.
I told you guys 3 days before it came out, I can't wait to hear Tom Holkenborg do the same score he's done every time. Ever since he made Mad Max, and everybody was like, whoa, this is good. It's the same. It's the same chord progression. It's the same sound. It's the same drum. The drums is the worst part because it's just...
Yeah.
And it is so annoying to have to listen to, especially as a person that has tried to make movie scores. I guess I did it.
You have.
I have.
As someone who has made a movie score.
It was a little one, and I'm not doing it on this scale.
But you also did get critical praise for it.
I did.
So,
which
worth noting.
Which felt good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Worth noting.
But, humble thyself. I was part of a team, and I was helped. My brother helped me.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just, and I feel like it's a problem I start to have with a lot of people that make music. Like for Hans Zimmer for a while, I was like, I feel like he's doing a lot of the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes out with Interstellar, and it's like, holy crap.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to reinvent yourself a little bit.
It's like, oh, he's doing the same things again. Then he comes out with Dune.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap. And that's kind of my problem right now with Göransson.
Oh, Göransson?
Is that how you say it?
Ludwig,
Ludwig Göransson.
I love the Oppenheimer soundtrack, but there's stuff in it that sounds exactly, it feels like it's ripped from Tenet, and it annoys me. And I'm not saying, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking too much into it. But Holkenborg has done the same thing every single time. Even in the Scargiver trailer, it's the Wonder Woman theme. It's the same order of notes. It's just not on a electric cello.
And he helped with that one, didn't he?
Yeah, because it was BVS. Or, he helped with BVS.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just...
Maybe he just needs that one project that will help him reinvent himself a little bit at some point.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I could probably go to his... What was that movie with the giant cities that eat people?
Mortal
Engines.
I read that.
I could probably go listen to that soundtrack, and I bet it'd be the same.
It probably is. But
I read that book.
I like that movie, actually.
Underrated. It wasn't great, but it was pretty fun.
Hey, man. As long as it's fun, I mean, you can find some joy in it. This is not that.
No, unfortunately.
No, this movie was not fun. It was honestly like you get halfway through and it's just like, man, you start to contemplate, should I finish this?
Yeah.
Or should I just pause it and finish it tomorrow? Or should I just end it now?
It was 10 o'clock, and I paused it, and I was like, do we just want to go to bed? My wife watched it with me, and she was like, how much is left? And I think it was like 20 minutes or something like that. And she was like, I don't want to come back to this. And like Dana, you guys know, but for people watching, listening, Dana is pretty generous when it comes to critiquing something. She's not hard on things. This movie was hard for her to watch. Like legitimately challenging. Like at one point had to get up and go get an adult beverage to finish the movie. So that's as big of an indictment on it, I think, as there can be in my mind. But yeah, man, it's just, do we want to go through pros and cons? I mean, I personally do not have a pro for this movie.
I've got
and
one.
I'm not trying to be mean.
No,
I just don't have a pro.
I do have one because it was something in the movie that genuinely made me laugh, and I have it down as a pro because it was a laugh that made me feel good.
Okay.
Even though it is a negative movie. Every time you see a bad guy in this movie, they have the same haircut.
Oh yeah.
And every time
it's
quite
the
Lloyd Christmas, who's Jim and Carrey's character from Dumb and Dumber. They have this stupid bowl cut, and eventually, like, I'm looking at Ed Skrein in the end of the movie, and I was just like, he's like, oh, where you from? But
well, at least it was
that's the end of the pro.
Yeah, Dana was making fun of Ed Skrein's haircut. Like she saw it the first time, she was like, "What's up with this dude's hair?" And I was like, "I don't know." Yeah. Do you have any pros?
They're headed to Aspen, man.
No, I think that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's like I keep thinking back to it, like okay, was there at least one performance that I liked? No. Was there a certain a scene? Was the free the hippogriff? No.
You mean the Avatar scene?
The Avatar scene, yeah, exactly. Was there something in the writing or the plot that was at least like a kernel of a good idea? And like I just said, doesn't need to be original, but it doesn't feel inspired either. So unfortunately, all I really have are negatives. Things like I think set, like design, props, like spaceship. This is a sci-fi movie, so spaceships design the spaceship designs need to be cool, right? What do we open the movie with? A
phallic ship.
A phallic ship going through a vagina-esque wormhole. What? What are we doing here? What do we do? And then like,
is that how it's connected to Army of the Dead?
But beyond that, like you look at the kind of the regal wear, like it feels like it's trying to be I don't know.
I can tell you
like
what it's trying to be.
Roman-esque.
It's trying to be Warhammer.
Oh.
It's exactly what it's trying to be.
Well, it doesn't look good.
No.
Yeah, none of the weapons look good.
They're water guns.
The blasters don't.
They're
have
super
good
soakers.
Sound design. Sound design. Maybe the blaster sound design is like the one okay thing, but
it has a magazine.
The visuals on it aren't great. It doesn't help that there's no blood in this movie, and not that there has to be blood, but like it did feel a little bit like 2007's The Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
which is rated PG.
Like we're not getting anything,
and we know it's supposed to be R-rated with the director's cut, so we know it's taken out.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just a miss after miss after miss, and then
the movie goes on for another 2 hours.
Legitimately don't know how there are that many misses. Plus, this has like a 3-hour version.
Yeah,
it's 3 hours.
I don't know.
The director's cut.
The director's cut. I think they said it was close to 3.
What the heck did they take out?
And
maybe the conversations between characters, because there's like none.
So bro, the whole second act is them. We're gonna just kind of jump into some spoilery.
I say screw it. Full spoilers.
Okay,
we hated the movie.
Yeah,
full spoilers.
So full spoilers here. Let's give it's a dumpster fire for me.
It's a dumpster fire for me.
It's a dumpster fire. I gave it a half star.
Don't watch this movie. I sure hope. My goal is for our review to be more entertaining than the movie.
Hold on.
I don't think that's that hard.
Before we get into spoilers, is this the first movie we've given a dumpster fire across the board?
Shoot, maybe.
No way.
I think it is.
It might be.
I think it is.
Oh, well, you haven't seen Ghosted.
No, I did not watch Ghosted.
And you haven't seen Citadel.
Yeah, no. Sorry. When you guys watch something before me and you go, guys, or Tyler, this movie's terrible.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to shoot to the top of my list?
No, I get
Probably
it.
not.
I get it.
Probably not.
So yeah, now we're going into full spoilers. The entire second act of this film, which is just them jumping from planet to planet.
Hey, do you want to join my team?
Could be completely
Let's go.
Randomly shuffled into any order because none of the characters interact with each other in any meaningful way.
No, there's one conversation.
That
matters in the whole movie.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Hey, we want to go find this guy. Actually, this character you just met, who just... You just watched me kill people. And I know you're defending yourself, but you just watched me kill these guys. I actually want to go pick up these other two people. I don't want to remind you, we just met 1 second ago.
Yeah,
They're perfect for your team.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And the movie does obviously it's trying to pull a fast one on you.
Positive. There was an Irish accent in this movie. I feel like they don't get play a lot.
Yeah, and they gave it to Charlie Hunnam.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't find it.
I don't like the accent.
Okay.
Just that it was...
Just that it was there.
It was there.
Okay.
It's not a pro. No pros.
Oh, Easton in the chat. Easton, I want to know what your positives are. Easton says he's still not convinced Rebel Moon is that bad. That is, a fine opinion to have. You can have that if you enjoyed it. I'm not going to take anything away from you. B, I do want to know, legitimately, what are the things that you enjoyed about it. So, while we're dumping on it, go ahead and give me your positives, and we will not fight about it, but I'm curious. Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's why you believe it's not that bad. Yes.
Easton, you had me for a second, my man. You had me for a second.
He said the words that everybody who's about to watch it has said this. Yeah. You look at the Rotten Tomatoes and you read the reviews and you're like, man, it can't be that bad.
Yeah.
And then you watch it and it's one of the worst things you've ever seen.
It's just... Dude, I legit think there is one scene where there is a conversation between characters that means anything.
That matters, because there's a conversation between Cora and her dad, or not a dad, but an adopted
foster dad.
She's living with him out of the goodness of his heart.
It's Pa Kent.
It's Pa Kent, exactly. And it's okay, there's a little something, and then nothing until the beginning of the third act, basically. And
would you like to
then
join
there's
my team?
Then there's the finale, which is just Ed Skrein monologuing for 20 minutes.
Yep.
And it's not good writing, and it's not a good performance.
He starts monologuing. Sorry.
Yeah. The film is just structured poorly because it's half of a film. It's not an elongated, here's a 2-part story. It's one story. It's just half of it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end in a satisfying way.
There's not a completed arc within this film.
There's barely an arc started in this film.
Yeah.
Barely. Yeah. There are, flashbacks to give you some context to who Cora is, and, after the... opening monologue of exposition to explain. Star Wars would have just done a crawl, but we had Robot Man monologuing, who I assume is the king. Was that the king's voice?
The robot?
The robot? Not that the robot is the king, but the robot was programmed with
The king was Carrie Elways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He had one. He had one line and a very fake beard.
He has one line with his fake beard, and then he has one other scene where you see him. That's it. Pretty sure.
No, the robot was...
That's Anthony Hopkins.
Was just Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. I hate the opening of this movie being,
Dude, I just thought of Spaceballs, honestly.
Dude, it is.
Where it's just like, I was hoping this ship was going to keep going and going and going.
Like, they were like, literally all it was missing was a crawl. It's the same kind of Star Wars opening. Like, he's just trying to do
war!
Yeah, it's just...
Somehow Palpatine has returned in this universe.
Yeah.
And somehow Noble has returned.
So, real quick over in the chat.
Is that how the second one's going to start? Somehow Ed Skrein has returned. Even though he was super dead at the end of this movie, he's actually alive.
I think... So, Easton, I think, is concerned. He's saying, we're all giving it a dumpster fire, which apparently has never happened on the show. And so he's saying that there's no way it's the worst movie reviewed on What the Fanboy. That's insane if it is. I also know you all hate Snyder, so I'm still skeptical that our review isn't biased. I think if you go back and you look at my reviews of Snyder films, I would challenge that. I certainly don't think he's great on social media, and I have definitely questioned his directorial choices in the past. But I am not a Zack Snyder hater. I think plenty of his films are good.
I've historically liked some of his stuff. Man of Steel specifically.
Man of Steel, I think maybe his best.
I think
film.
It's his best movie. But I also it's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's great.
But I will say, going as far back, even before the whole Snyder cult, Snyder cut stuff, all that stuff, when I was in high school, everybody told me 300 was this fantastic movie, and I saw it, and I did not like it. And everybody's like, how do you not like 300? And I was like, I don't know. I just don't like it. Fast forward, I love Watchmen.
Yeah.
I think Watchmen's awesome.
Watchmen's great, too.
I think it's a great movie. I think Man of Steel is a great movie. I don't know.
Sucker Punch, not a great movie.
I've never seen Sucker Punch. I'll
fight you then on that.
Listen, I think Snyder has 3 of the worst movies ever made, and I'll just get that out right now. I hate Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
It's just mainly me. I hate Army of the Dead, and I really hated this one. That being said, I think Man of Steel is one of the best superhero movies. I think it's up there. It's an amazing first contact sci-fi story. There's stuff in it that I'm not a fan of, tornado scene, but it's awesome. And I think it's super underrated, and it's really disappointing that more people don't like it. Me and Tyler, honestly,
we defended the hell out of Zack Snyder.
We were almost in the Snyder cult when BVS came out.
Oh, for sure.
We loved that movie, and we were fighting tooth and nail for people to go see it. We did not understand that people didn't like it. We thought critics just hated Snyder.
Yeah.
And then
just over time, it's
just here we are now. Like, I feel honestly, I feel like we've just grown up
a little bit,
and we just want to review the movies now, and that's just where our relationship with Snyder is at this point.
I think there are very few directors out there who carry the weight of their best films throughout their career. I think you can look at someone like Spielberg and be like, it's not that he's never missed, but he has this air about him that almost demands respect. Mm-hmm. I think early on in a director's career, when they hit it hot, right? And I think that could be said of Snyder. I think the same could be said probably of like Rian Johnson. It's easy to wrap that director like entangle them with the movies they've made, because they are they're maybe the most important part of that. They're not the only part, but they're maybe the most important part. And I think it can be a mistake to tie those two things together, because I can honestly say, like, after stepping back, I am maybe the biggest Rian Johnson fan, and I know I'm the biggest Johnson fan in the room. But I think I've grown up as you've said, with how I treat him as a celebrity status, right? I respect the hell out of him as a director and a writer, but I also am not necessarily just going to go to bat for him just to go to bat for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's going to have to prove himself every movie. And a little bit like with a sports team, if you start losing games, if you have a bad season, it's like, okay, shake it off. If you have 2 bad seasons, okay. If you have 3 bad seasons, let's look at your coaching. Let's look at your staff. Let's look at who's putting everything together. And for me, when it comes to Snyder, that's what I'm seeing. I think his best movies are some of his older stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the situation he found himself in with Justice League specifically was really shitty. Like, that just sucked.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I'm not gonna
blame him for that, or blame him for wanting to see his vision come to life.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Mm-hmm. Do I think there are problems with Zack Snyder's Justice League? Yeah, because it's too long, and a sane studio, if they're putting it out in theaters as it is intended to, would have cut that down. I think there's a best, quote unquote, version of Justice League that it doesn't exist, but it could exist based on what Snyder shot. Mm-hmm. And if there was some studio interference, executive pull, right? I think Army of the Dead was him just trying to get back in the saddle.
Yeah.
He took some swings. I don't hate that movie. I also don't think it's that good. But there are some things I like about it.
Yeah.
And Rebel Moon, I sat down and I think I knew I wasn't going to like it.
Honestly, I think Easton just might need to watch it to see for himself.
It's honestly,
it's amazing how many misses there are in this.
Yeah.
Just from a filmmaking perspective.
It's pretty mind-boggling. I mean, I legit can't think of one good thing I liked about it. Like, I really genuinely mean that.
Yeah. And Easton, I also think it's important to note that, you know, we review a lot of movies. You do too.
Yeah.
On your show, on your podcast, and I think I think just by the nature of, like, we don't do this as a business. We do this as a hobby. We tend to review the films that we know we're gonna like.
Yeah. Like,
we're more excited to go see. There's the big ones that we kind of feel...
We make an effort, right? Rebel Moon is one that it's going to be in the cultural zeitgeist.
The Marvels was one that I would not necessarily have gone out and seen if we didn't do a show and or I didn't have a 8-year-old daughter, right? But, that's the world we live in. So we're definitely not, this isn't the worst movie ever made, I don't think. But we're not reviewing the worst movies ever made.
Correct.
And, yeah.
So, yes. And also, just because we all gave it a dumpster fire doesn't mean we're necessarily saying it's the worst movie we've ever seen.
Yeah. And I am dying to get out and go see Poor Things and The Iron Claw. I've just had the... Yeah,
holidays are busy, man.
Pull up my little calendar and see where I was at out of the last week, and it would probably blow some people's mind. Like, you did all that? Yeah.
But I agree.
It wasn't always fun. But.
I agree. Easton, just when you watch it, kind of report back.
Yeah. No, I'm curious.
Hey, maybe I'll like it.
Yeah, maybe you will. I remember,
we don't define what you like.
Yeah.
No, and we shouldn't. We're here to give... We talk about this every once in a while, right? Like, our goal, our job as critics, reviewers, is to kind of give you a benchmark based on our tastes.
Yeah.
So, but you have to watch us or listen to us consistently to know what our tastes are.
Right.
And I think, Easton, you've watched us enough to know kind of where we're at on certain things and where we land on certain movies and kinds of movies. So, I'm not too worried about that with you, but for any new listeners or new viewers, it's our word is not final, right? Like, your enjoyment of a movie is not determined by us. We're just here to make suggestions and try, quote unquote, to look at things more or less objectively. There's always going to be some subjectivity in there, I think, but that's why I took 2 days to try and think of what are some positives?
Yeah.
And it was just incredibly frustrating that I couldn't think of anything that was worth reporting back. Like, even it's not even like worth rewatching, because there are films that with good things that I wouldn't rewatch. But there was nothing. Yeah, there was just nothing for me. Sorry, I talked for a long time. We should move on.
This might be weird though. So we got the Scargiver trailer today.
Yeah,
whenever.
Yeah, this is a good segue, Luke.
And for as not good as this movie was, and people keep comparing it to Star Wars and Dune and Avatar, because there's so much taken from those movies. And the biggest one is Seven Samurai. This is Zack Snyder's Seven Samurai meets Star Wars movie. And honestly, this movie is barely Seven Samurai. It's 20 minutes of that movie. The Scargiver, Part 2, is way more Seven Samurai. So there's a chance that movie is fun.
That Part 2 is a good time.
Because Part 2 will have a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as much as I hated this, there's still like that little spark of hope that it's like, I can still get down to watch sci-fi Seven Samurai.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seven Samurai is awesome. I like both of the Magnificent Sevens. It's a great story. I feel like you can keep remaking that story. Just keep putting it in cool little things. So I have that glimmer of hope in me that's like, Part 1 is horrible, but maybe Part 2 will be there to
kind of make it better.
Well, yeah, and you think about like a logical place to split a story into, and like you're almost always going to be guaranteed that the first part is weaker than the second. Just the nature of telling a story
in two parts.
The first part of any story is it's setting up your world, it's exposition, it's introducing characters, and that can be done, I think, better than what Rebel Moon did.
Yeah.
But it also is almost inherently less exciting, less fun than, the adventures of Act 2, the epic grand finales of Act 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree, Luke. There is a sliver of hope there. I appreciate that Luke's the one who found the silver lining here.
Yeah. Right. I
guess I'm just a hopeful sucker.
Look at you! It's the spirit of Christmas.
I think my hopeful thing for this is that maybe this will really make you think I'm a Snyder hater, and this isn't me hating. This is me hoping that he cannot. I hope his career doesn't get defined by this.
Sure.
Right? Like, my hope is that from this he'll learn, and he will. I really just think he needs to tighten up the scope of what he's making a little bit. I think everything he's made recently, especially since his tenure with DC, has just been so big. Everything's big.
It's so big in multiple ways, in scope, and also budget. He's been given so much money, and we were talking about it before. I think he needs just a tiny. I'm like talking 5-10 mil.
Something like a Blumhouse budget, man.
Tiny movie where it's like forced scale down, where you have to creatively just switch things up. I think it'd be awesome to like just kind of
see what he
re-spark that
the creative side of
juices.
Him. Yeah, because I do think he's talented. We've seen him do good things. It's in there. And it's just so weird, man. Like, he's just not. I don't know.
I do think that
we talked a little bit about, like, is he regressing as a filmmaker? And it kind of feels like it with this.
I think here's my hypothesis, and I don't want to take the last word. So if you guys
a hypothesis uses an if-then statement.
But if you guys have one more thing to say after this, feel free. Okay. But this will be my last word, and then we can move on.
Okay.
I think he has so much of his time at DC was building out a universe. And as he directed 3 of those films. Out of what? There's probably 12, 15 movies in that.
I think it was like 16.
Was there? Okay, 16. All, if not most of which he's an executive director of, or an executive producer of, right? Like, he I think he has a bigger view, like a greater overhead view of his projects now than just a pure director does. A director is here to come in and I'm going to tell this story. And he came into DC and he was put in charge of, you're not just going to tell this story, you're going to help tell all these stories. Mm-hmm. That's a really fun place to be for creatives. Tyler is our D&D DM, Dungeon Master. I almost said Grandmaster. You're definitely not Jeff Goldblum. But I think there's an inherent sense of fun and discovery when you're creating a world.
Well, let's just go back to Man of Steel before he was in charge of everything. Man of Steel was a Superman movie.
Yeah.
And then it was awesome. And then, as it had to expand in 1,000 different ways, is when everybody started reacting to different things. But
what I'm seeing in both Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon since then is that he keeps that scope.
Yeah,
he's thinking about, here is the world outside of my movie in a way that is beyond the need of the film, right? Like, you can tell a story here, and you may need to build out some aspects to fit characters in, but when you're creating a TV show or spin-off series, when those are built into that initial thing, what he's doing is world building there. And I just think that's probably hard for him to give up, having tasted that and done. He did it for 8 years.
Yeah.
At least, and then tried it with Army of the Dead, and it got
I don't know
one spin-off, but I don't know what's happening there. And we know he's done it with Rebel Moon, with how much they've talked about it wanting to be a franchise. So that's my hypothesis, is that I agree. I think he needs to go back to a smaller scope, but I'm just going to guess that's going to be hard.
Yeah. I will say, kind of like with what Luke's saying, I do hope the second part of this is good. I think no matter what, I think there's only room to go up from here, which is good.
Yeah.
So, and for people who like this movie, great. I'm so happy for you.
People who like this movie have not listened this far into the podcast.
This is also true. But hopefully, if somebody clips anything, it's that, hey.
If you're still here, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
and I appreciate
absolutely.
you listening to our opinions.
It can be hard to listen to one person, let alone three, kind of dunk on something you love. But I know what that's like.
I love the Commanders, and they get dunked on every week, man. It's rough.
The Commanders are horrible.
They're so bad. They're so bad.
I had a little bit of hope for them there in the middle of the season.
Sam Howell proved it. He's not the guy. So we're drafting a QB, baby. We're back in the carousel.
You know how unfortunate it is know how unfortunately bad they are? When they scored or whatever, I said, they're going to lose this game.
Yeah.
I just knew. And they were playing the Jets, who are also horrible. And I was just like, they're going to lose. Only because Tyler is a fan of their team, and Tyler can't catch a break with sports teams.
I can't. Recently. The Orioles are good, though.
Not good enough. They lost.
Yeah.
No, they're good.
They won the AL East with the second smallest budget in baseball.
I'll tell you what, though. They got to capitalize quick, because small market teams have a lot of competition when you got Dodgers and Yankees throwing out billions of dollars to one player.
Well, the Yankees are in our division, too.
Yeah.
The Yuckies.
The Yuckies.
Anyway, I was talking sports.
Baroque's got a really interesting question that I don't know if I've really thought of in a while. And that is
cereal still soup?
How long are you okay with a movie being before it's split into two parts? So, what is there a maximum length of your, a movie that you would sit down and watch before you're like, I just wish they had put this in two?
I think that's hard to answer.
How long is the movie?
That's
and I don't know, it depends on the movie. Cause
how long does it need to be to tell your story? And if your story is going to be multiple films, then that's what it is.
I would say, this might surprise you guys, I'm going to say 4.5 hours.
Woo! That does surprise me.
One movie. If it has to be like 4.5 hours or longer than that, give me 5 episodes of television. And add a little more context. Add a little more depth to character. Like, you can add cool stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, a movie I love is the Lawrence of Arabia, the director's cut.
Yeah.
It's a long freaking movie, but it is incredible. And it is beautiful. And, like, if I'm tired and I don't want to finish it at this moment, I'll pause it and I can finish it later. I watched that movie in 2 parts. But it's like, it's on my own terms.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
And
is this in theaters?
And please, can we bring back the intermission? It's so undifficult. It's 5 to 10 minutes of a black screen that says intermission. People can use the bathroom. They can support a theater and go get more snacks.
Put a timer on it.
Yeah. They would just put a countdown.
Like, why are studios so against an intermission? I truly don't understand it.
I don't either. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Probably because they know that it'll get filled with ads somehow. Regal will throw up that.
Put it in the contract.
But if they get filled with ads,
that's a good
the
point.
studio would make money off of it.
You could just bake it.
That's true. It could even be intermission. At the bottom, you have a little banner that says, "Now's a good time to go get snacks. Here's a deal. $7.99, small popcorn and small drink."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would just be theater in the Blu-ray or the 4K.
Or go get a $3 refill on your thing, right? And save a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say for me, that answer has changed dramatically since having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Especially too, because like I can go to long movies, but that means I usually have to go after like 8 p.m. And for me, like after 10 o'clock in a movie theater is pretty dicey. Like I'm gonna be struggling to stay awake. Yeah, it's just. I think 3.5 is generally where I'd like the cap movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the maximum for me in a theater.
In a theater.
At home, I don't care because I can pause it on my own terms.
My favorite films are the extended editions of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
and those pop
4.5 hours.
4.5 for Return of the King.
Yeah.
So
we went and saw that one in theaters.
Yeah, and there was no intermission, and it was awesome, and it was packed, and everybody loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
Honestly, one of my favorite theater experiences was
so
seeing that
good.
movie.
Yeah.
So good.
Golly.
So great. But yeah, I think you have to take the business into account, right? And you have to think about
like I say 4.5 hours, but that's going to be so rare that that actually happens.
Sure.
And it also depends what type of part 1, part 2 are we talking here.
Yeah.
Like Dune feels like an entire movie.
Yeah.
Even like Deathly Hallows Part 1, I feel like it did it well.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think it would be awesome if like the Deathly Hallows is just a epic 3.5 hour, 4 hour Harry Potter finale.
Yeah.
I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I've got like a straight answer for that. It depends, I guess. And that's maybe a cop out, but
I just really wish studios could just go back to letting them make the movie and you put out the movie.
Yeah.
But that is dead and gone. It's got to be in between 2:12 and 2:38, and then we'll release a director's cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're Christopher Nolan.
Touche.
Or Villeneuve, I guess.
Touche. All right. Well, let's talk some news. Was there any news this week? We got a few things. Warner Brothers was apparently flirting around with the idea of merging with Paramount.
Are they still talking, or is it dead?
I don't know.
Latest rumors say it's dead. The initial rumors were never actually confirmed, but they're all but confirmed at this point. So, hopefully it's dead.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need more consolidation
Until next year, when it happens again.
in this industry.
Here's what I want out of this, though. Hopefully, in this conversation, they're like, look, we won't merge. But there are some comic books. There's an animated film, Batman vs. the Ninja Turtles. I would love to get that. in some capacity, whether that be a video game from Rocksteady or a movie.
Heck yeah.
Oh gosh,
Let's
I hope
make it happen.
Rocksteady's still alive.
Let's make it happen.
Rocksteady should have made an Ninja Turtles game.
Guys, one of my predictions for the year almost hit with that.
Oh, what was your prediction?
Let's see.
This was from last year.
Another buy-sell attempt of WB takes place.
Oh. Yeah.
I almost came in clutch there right at the end.
Yep.
But you know what? I'm okay with not getting that point. Because frankly, I'm tired of it.
Consolidation.
I'm tired of it, yeah.
I just think we're, this is not to talk too much business, but you look back at consolidation of industries in the U.S. and what all that's led to, and irresponsible financial decisions, things that may have led to a Great Recession and of the sort. And it just seems like now, if Warner Brothers is really still, like, I get that they're the bigger partner and they're the bigger piece of that pie. But if Warner Brothers is really struggling like they seem to be struggling, let's break them up. Let's figure out how to make 3 smaller companies that may be able to actually
be
sustainable.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
Well, when companies start going under, they start buying stuff up to hide stuff, to hide debt.
Yeah. It's just a weird time. And it's sad because we're seeing the erosion of these, iconic studios.
Erosion's a good word for that.
Erosion. I think that's a title of a story Luke's working on.
Oh, maybe.
Oh,
maybe.
Sorry
barely
to drop
working on
hints. Easton, I'm gonna come to your house and fight you if you keep saying things.
What did he say?
He said Disney should buy them so we can get all our entertainment from one place.
Maybe Disney should break some stuff up too.
Oh.
It's okay. They're all just gonna go bankrupt next year anyway.
What other news stories? Hey, don't be spilling my predictions.
Okay, I'll delete that from mine. That wasn't a joke.
News story. While we're talking about companies, Insomniac had a big data breach, and some stuff's come out about that. We've talked about the Sony layoffs on several occasions over the last few months or so, and I guess Sony has been pressuring studios to make cuts amidst rising development costs. It just feels so gross that these things keep coming out next to the stories that talk about how successful Sony has been.
Yeah.
Hey, good year, man. Great job. Go fire your employees.
Yeah, like, it's just such a weird thing. And, like, I've seen people be like, you don't hear about that at Xbox. Microsoft's doing it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody's safe from this. Like, no company is doing it better than anybody else.
No.
It's so weird to hear this was the best year of Sony PlayStation ever. And then in the next breath here, we're going to lay off 600 people from our studios. It's like, what are we doing?
Microsoft just made a huge acquisition, so you feel like there's even more coming there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. No, oh boy. Brett's going to try and not go on a anti-capitalist rant here.
Why? Just do it.
Luke's feeling the fire. No. But, like, this ultimately it's a decision based because we care. Companies care more about shareholder and market perception than they do about quality of product and or employees. If you have a record profitable year, you can afford to hold on to your employees. But what the shareholders want are dividends and buybacks to make your that company worth more imaginary money, because it's all imaginary money. Sorry, I'm done. It sucks. Hate it. The layoffs. I hate the layoffs.
One-stop shop viewing. It works for Walmart.
Until Walmart stops selling physical media and forces you to...
Did Walmart stop too?
No, not yet.
I've not seen that they're doing it.
Not yet.
Hey,
I think Walmart's still selling DVDs, baby.
Yeah, dude. Walmart's about it.
$5 bin, baby. There's now a huge market there.
Yeah.
Another gaming story. The day before, servers are shutting down 45 days after launch.
And they're refunding everybody.
They are.
And you don't even have to ask for a refund.
Yeah,
they're just giving it to you. That's good.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
I did not expect that.
That was one of those weird, silver linings out of a bad story. And I haven't done enough research to know Tyler, you may know more where that came. Was it all a scam? Because there was okay, was this just a bait and switch? Or was there legitimate development trouble and they just didn't know how to communicate about it and they ended up making decisions?
Well, this studio has come out and been we underestimated our abilities to make video games. They were we thought we could make this thing.
Yeah.
But I think there was some pretty shoddy marketing that maybe said this game was something it wasn't.
Yeah.
The circumstances around it are really interesting. Highly recommend. There's some pretty good... Some YouTubers have done some pretty good breakdowns on it. If you're just curious, about it, check it out. It's super intriguing, and it's a wild story. It's one that I think will be remembered from this year, as people will remember the day before game and everything that kind of went into that.
I'm so curious. What a studio's like when you're like, guys, this game sucks, and we're releasing in a month. Where are their heads at?
Yeah.
How do they feel about everything happening? And are they just we're just gonna put it out and see what happens? Honestly, it's the same with Redfall,
right?
Or Gollum.
Yeah.
What?
Or the King Kong game, or yeah.
Are the devs just we told you we weren't ready?
Well,
or what's the vibe?
Yeah.
In a situation like that, I'm just so curious.
We may never know, due to NDAs.
I need Jason Schreier to interview the devs of Fantastic. Then
someone needs to do some.
Yeah, I'm surprised Schreier hasn't dived in, but Easton's kind of provided a little more context. It looks like maybe somebody caught on to the scam and was like, hey, this is something. But he also brought up, we were talking about layoffs earlier, Wizards of the Coast.
That's right.
Laid off, was it 1,500?
1,200.
1,200 people? Yeah, I mean, it's just, it never ends.
And D&D
is as big as it's ever been.
It's as big as, they had a great movie.
Yeah.
And then Baldur's Gate won Game of the Year.
Yep. Critical Role is shelling out books now. There's novels that they're putting out. They have the show, Vox Machina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have another show coming.
At the end of the day, I think they'll, I don't know if they've put out a press release or anything, but my guess is they'll be like, well, we had planned to be able to keep all of our employees by restructuring. Remember, there was that restructuring of how you would pay to license the D&D stuff.
Yeah, there was that. Yeah.
And that all got rolled back because A, it was horrible. But B, they also didn't communicate about it well. I can see that being their PR spin on it. But yeah, again, it's doing incredibly well. Economists will be able to look back in 10 years and tell us, but it just seems like there was maybe overestimating on the front end, during maybe COVID, there was overestimating on how many people we can bring on and keep sustainable. But B, I do think that there's some unprofessional. I think there's a pay gap between executives and not that they shouldn't make more, but normal developers and employees who ultimately get the short end of the stick.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Did you have any more, Tyler?
Yeah, I got. Sorry, I'm watching this football game.
Ooh,
I have one more. Andor season 2. It's been pushed out of 2024.
Not coming in 24, which is a bummer.
That is a huge bummer. But
it's great for me because I have more time to watch it.
That's okay. Take your time.
On that one, I'm wanting them.
It took them a long time to get season 1 out too, though.
Yeah.
I mean that thing was in development for a long time.
And it was worth it.
Hello, sir. We can't play footsie, and it's not on. It's on camera now, Tyler.
Oh yeah. Shoot.
Ew.
Luke, you're just jealous.
I don't have any stories.
Okay.
So we're gonna hit some fan. Do we have any Fanbox?
I don't think we have any Fanbox questions, but
we had a good one earlier with the runtime on
the runtime. That was a good.
Director James Gunn rumored to be casting Supergirl, who is humorous with punk rock edginess. Is a rumor, so it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
He'll confirm it if it's true.
Maybe a Joel Kinnaman type.
There's also rumors that Hush is all but confirmed to be the villain of the Batman 2, and that's supposed to start filming next summer.
The Batman.
Man, that's
feels so far away.
Feels so far away. So far away. Okay. Weekly updates, real quick. I watched Leave the World Behind on Netflix.
Did it make you want to leave the world behind?
Are you gonna buy a Tesla?
Not buying a Tesla, but that's unrelated. That's Elon related.
Oh, okay.
I think this has a really good cast. It has an interesting premise.
Classic Netflix movie.
Wonder if the book's good.
And it leaves a lot to be desired.
Classic Netflix movie.
It's a classic Netflix movie. What did I say before the show, Tyler? A Knock at the Cabin?
Yeah.
Which is the M. Night Shyamalan movie, has from this last year. What has a very similar premise. I mean,
also a book.
Not
same book.
Carbon copy, right? Like there's definite differences, but like one of those is way more interesting than the other. And unfortunately, Leave the World Behind kind of leaves you wanting a finale. It builds up to like a pretty good end of a second act, and then it just kind of drops you. And I think it's meant to give you a sense of, oh, okay, there's hope. There's hope that maybe they can get through it, but
hope. It's
not satisfying.
Huzzah.
Unfortunately. And I think I gave it 2.5 on Letterboxd. I'd give it a straight to streaming.
Okay.
It's where it belongs in terms of if you've got Netflix and you're into kind of end of the world dramas, it might be up your alley.
Okay. All right.
But and then the other thing I did, and Luke also, we both finished A Murder at the End of the World.
Murder at the End of the World.
I think I ended up liking it a little more than Luke.
Yep.
I think that
It started so hot for you, Luke.
Pretty decent cast.
It has a great start.
It starts off awesome. Kind of fizzles at the end, but I still thought that at least the main character of Darby had an interesting enough kind of detective story through there that it worked for me. It's not going to go at the top of any of my lists, but not bad. Luke?
I thought it was okay. I love the start. The premise is awesome. But also, whodunits usually start like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's a good hook,
but
built into whodunits.
Yeah.
Has to.
I think it has a big problem of not engaging with its other characters, and you never really suspect anybody.
There are a lot of characters and therefore a lot of suspects, and the movie doesn't do a great job of establishing why I should care about all these people as suspects.
Yeah, and Darby is a great character.
I think Darby's good.
She was great.
Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know his name.
He dies.
He's the murder.
Yeah, he's the main murderer.
He's the death.
Episode.
Yeah. But they kind of constantly interject flashbacks throughout the season, and so he has a presence there that I think kind of carries it through some of the weaker interrogation episodes.
Yeah, and towards the end, we had mentioned at the beginning. I made the joke like, who is this person? Because there's a reveal at the end, obviously, to who done it, and there's a character that reacts, and I legit said out loud when I was watching it, I don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
I've had no idea who they were. I thought it was a different character, but they were sitting right next to that character. Yeah. I was like, oops. But it's still good. I still think it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
I'd give it a Matthew McConaughey.
I'm going to give it a fanboy worthy. I think what they do with the twist, with the reveal at the end, I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't go too outlandish. Sometimes when you get, don't want to spoil anything, but like this is a tech billionaire's compound, right? And Darby and Lee are like expert hackers, and there's a bunch of other people there who are really good at
hacking
things, right? And so I was appreciative that it wasn't too, I don't know, like just, oh, there's actually aliens, and I'm being very outlandish just to not spoil anything, but robot army invading the world type of a thing.
I had one outlandish theory that I was really, really hoping for because I think it would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I'll talk with you about it after. Okay. Because I think it would have been so cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that.
But yeah, kind of the, I guess, the how. How of how murders happen worked for me.
I will say,
because there's the who and the how.
If you want to watch a murder whodunit on Hulu, Murders in the Building is way better.
Oh, only Murders in the Building.
So much better.
It's great. I haven't even watched the newest season. I know it's great.
Which of the triplets did it?
Luke, what else did you do?
What else did I do? Well, I mentioned it earlier. I saw Aquaman.
Yep.
Extremely brief because I know we're gonna review it. I liked it. I thought it was fun. If you don't like it, I totally get why. And I'll just leave it at that. But I also watched a new Christmas movie this year that I'll just talk about quickly too. It's not a new one. It was new to me. I watched Klaus.
Yeah.
Which I think came out in 2019. So good.
Dude, so good.
Dude, it was so awesome. It is one of the best Christmas movies ever made. It felt so original and fresh.
Yeah.
The animation is awesome.
Yep.
Made me cry a whole bunch.
Yep.
It's super sad. Terrific voice cast.
Welcome.
I'm happy to join the club of watching the Klaus
freaking
movie.
Good.
It was amazing. I know Christmas is over this year.
But add it to your list.
But next year, once December rolls around,
you can still watch Christmas movies are allowed through the 31st in our house. So
I'm not saying don't watch it, but like I know most people now are like Christmas is over, blah 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 blah.
I watched The Grinch twice this week.
Oh wow.
The live action one. It's my favorite Christmas movie. So I always watch it.
Oh, It's a Wonderful Life, baby.
Yeah.
There's nothing better. Dude, that movie wrecks me. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That was me, my chest being ripped open by It's a Wonderful Life.
You want the moon, Mary? Oh. I want the moon.
What else did you watch?
Sorry. Last thing that I watched was playing a little catch up from this year. Yep. I watched Gran Turismo, the video game movie that is actually a sports movie. Let's see, what did I write on my letterbox? Oh, video game movie disguised as sports movie with all the tropes. It hits every single one. And while not great by any means, it is better than I expected.
Nice. That's always a win. I'd
say the first half is really trope induced.
Yeah.
You have all the people coming together to join Team Nissan, and like obviously our main character is gonna get there, but there's the bully of the group.
Yeah. Who's
like, oh, I'm so much better, and of course it's the American. It's like that's not a trope though. That'd probably be true.
That is definitely true.
But then like even when he graduates up into real racing, there's the bully who was the former protege of his coach. What's his name?
Harbour?
David Harbour, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. But honestly, there was a emotional flip about halfway through that I was not expecting. And it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked anything up with it other than, like, I've heard about the story. And honestly, if this part wasn't true, it'd probably ruin the whole thing. And it was just, like, emotionally devastating what happens, and I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. And I thought it
works.
It worked, yeah. I thought it added
a lot of Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, it's currently on Netflix. It added a lot of emotional weight, and I thought the rest of the movie was really good. Really good. Whoa. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I would give it a Matthew McConaughey. I kind of do wish I would have seen it in theaters.
Like a stronger McConaughey, you'd say? Or just
normal.
pretty level?
Matthew McConaughey.
Cool.
I do wish I would have gone to see it in theaters just so I could have experienced the big screen and the big sound.
Yeah.
Because it's revving engines and cars.
Yep.
There's some pretty cool drone shots in it. So I think it would have been cool to see, but it's on Netflix currently. If you itching for a new sports movie, just want to see like an underdog story.
Yeah.
This one's there for you.
Cool.
Nice.
So, cool. Real quick, one thing that I forgot to mention in my section was that I read Fourth Wing, finished that book. Tyler and I have kind of been racing through it. Not racing's a.
If I'd have known we were racing,
I know. I just wanted to make sure that I won a race for once.
How were first, second, and third wing? Nailed it. Perfect joke.
Perfect. Yeah, amazing.
Second wing is pretty interesting.
I think that.
What about Chicken Wing?
It's a pretty basic fantasy story with some interesting ideas. I think it fails to do two really important things in sci-fi though, or fantasy. One is world building. It does a really poor job of telling you about the world and why you should care about it. And two, what was the other thing I was going to say?
Characters?
Yeah, it's I just think it's kind of run of the mill, and there's potential there, especially with some of the neat abilities that come with, dragons and dragon riders. Typically you see, I look back at Aragon as an example, right? Like Aragon's pretty basic as well. They build that world out really fast though, and so you're intrigued. And here it's just a slow burn, not just for the world but for the characters as well, and it makes for a pretty weak first half of the book. I think the last quarter, it's the finale, right? It's the third act. Everything exciting is happening. It's a pretty easy read through. It was also the first time I've read it's pretty,
a romance book.
It's pretty graphic in its description of romance.
It could be called a smut book.
Yeah. There's not a lot of it, but
hold on, I'm gonna Google that. What?
Not that it caught me off guard. I knew what was in it before I read it. In terms of like that kind of content was in there. So I'm prefacing that by saying, or I'm prefacing what I'm going to, like my recommendation by saying, if you're not into that, like avoid the book because it is in there.
Yeah.
You had me at book. That's where you lost me.
Classic. Got Luke. At the end of the day, I give this a Matthew McConaughey. I think it's all right, and it does a decent job at, setting up for what could be an interesting second book. It does, I will say, you said characters earlier, and it does a thing that I hate, which is kind of reset characters at the end so that they can go through the exact same struggles of will they, won't they, for the next one. Slight spoiler there, Tyler. Sorry.
Oh, this book is so telegraphed, man.
Hey,
like I said, it's pretty by the numbers.
They could always do it the other way though, and it's they're together at the end, they're in love, and then in between the books they broke up for some reason.
Yeah,
which I think is worse.
Yeah, that is always rough. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I have told Dana, because she's read it, and I've told Stephanie this as well, like, it's trending on that 3 out of 5 stars kind of trajectory for me as well.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where it will end up. I think the bones of this story are really good, which is ironic considering Violet and her condition. But I think
of the book.
I think the execution is poor. There's specifically one chapter that I've read so far, and it's the chapter where Liam and Violet go to the library. And Liam is kind of explaining, you know, who he is and who the orphans are and what happens to the family, the kids of the traders. And you learn a little bit about, like, you know, what this rebellion was within this world. And I was like, that's a good chapter.
Yeah.
That's a chapter that you could pull out of this book and sell it to someone, and everybody who reads it would go, "Oh man, this is got it." But that is not a good representation of what this book is, and that bothers me a lot.
The last quarter of this book gets into that way more.
Good, because it needs it.
It does.
It needs it earlier in the story.
It does. I agree.
It hurts it a lot for me.
Well, and it
needs more bones.
Like you keep saying, telegraphed, right? Like it's not like it's really trying to keep certain things from the reader. Like,
it's just not telling you.
Pretty early on, maybe not early on, about halfway through, they're like, "Oh, we feel like maybe Command isn't telling us everything."
Yeah, that's right at the end of that chapter is when that starts.
So there is this sense of like, okay, I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but
they just leave it out on, like, it's like, hey, there's this thing, and then it happens for 2 chapters, and you're like, oh, and then we just move on from it for a while.
Well, and there's a whole, like, the main character Violet is the daughter of a general and, like, maybe a head scribe, and her dad, and so she should know a lot.
Yeah,
and like it's demonstrated in one. There's a couple moments where she demonstrates she is knowledgeable,
but honestly, it just feels like she's a good student.
We as the audience don't know that, right? And so there needs to be more of that information communicated to us earlier on. And then there's some emotional stuff that I think could have been done better.
Yeah, but I'm glad you read it, finished it.
I finished a book in 2023, guys.
What's also great is you finished a book that we're reading at the same time, because we did To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, and that did not happen. So
no, that's on the list. Just
gotta get to it, man.
A few books down.
It's good.
Fifth Wing.
The second one's actually called Iron.
Followed by The West Wing.
Ooh.
Fourth Wing, Chicken Wing, West Wing, unofficial trilogy.
Perfect.
I guess I can quickly hit on what I did.
Yeah.
I did some Christmas movie watching, things like that. But the big thing I did this week, I played a decent bit of a game called The Finals. Talked about the beta a while back when that came out. This is a game developed by Embark, who's making Arc Raiders, which is one that we're all interested in, I think. And this is a team of former Battlefield Bad Company devs. And I think this game exudes Battlefield Bad Company. I think it just feels like that kind of game. Destructible environments, fast-paced shooting. It's a lot of fun. Quirky characters. You know, it's really awesome. And I played with Easton, who I've told him this, but Easton's really freaking good at this game. Mm-hmm. He can play all 3 of the built characters, because there's a light, medium, and heavy build. Easton's good at it. He plays the role really well. JT Deadfist in the chat says, "Yo, he was playing with us too." We were having a grand time. It really is a fun game. If you're looking for just a shooter that's not Call of Duty, this is a good one to give a shot.
Check it out.
It takes 10 seconds to get into matches because a lot of people are playing it. There's
Easton thought you were gonna slam him on live stream.
Absolutely not. No, Easton's freaking good at this game, man. I was impressed. You exceeded my expectations. I'll be honest. No, it's just really fun. It's a 3-man parties, and there's a lot of variety to what you can do. But it's really like simplified in terms of like the builds don't get so big that it's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
They really simplify things to make it just jump in, play, jump out. Nice. And I just really appreciate that. Also, like, the destruction and stuff's really fun. Like, Easton plays as the heavy, and you can just run through buildings, which is so funny. The res mechanic is great. When you die, you become a little game piece, and your teammates can pick it up and run and, like, put you in cover so they can revive you, and... It has the classic Battlefield.
There's going to be so many things that are taken from this game that are put in other like battle royales or extraction shooters.
For sure. This is the next one everybody steals things from.
Coming soon in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Pick up your teammates and carry them around.
Yeah.
Put them in the shopping cart.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun, and I really do think like if you're looking for a shooter that's not color by numbers, I think this is one to check out. So, I had a blast, and I can't wait to play more of it. Sweet. I'm also playing a lot of Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
Nice.
Super good game.
Yeah! Nice. Baroque is downloading it, the finals, I assume, now.
Dude.
I need to.
It's fun.
Is it cross-platform?
You will like it a lot, Brett.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool.
All right, I'll download it.
Do it.
Sounds good. Someone hold on, I had to scroll back because we've had quite a bit of comments tonight, and I appreciate that. But we did have someone ask a Fanbox. It was Easton. Here's a Fanbox question, since we don't have one. What is your favorite bad accent in movie history? Ooh. You're going to make me feel silly for not being able to think of bad accents.
I don't know if it's my favorite bad accent, but one that really sticks out to me is always Tom Hardy in The Revenant. I just feel like he chews through that whole movie. Like, it's brutal, man. That one always sticks out.
What's the Benedict Cumberbatch one? There's like a South Carolinian accent.
Oh. Power of the Dog?
No.
That's the only movie I can think of.
I don't think it was a movie that...
JT, Russell Crowe, and Robin Hood.
Oh.
I think he's right.
Yeah.
I think he's right.
That one's something.
I feel like he tried to do British on one line, and he's like, nope, I'm an American.
Actually.
This is a really hard question, because I'm having trouble to think of any.
Baroque responded and said Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
God, yeah, that is a thick Cockney accent that he went for, man. On the road to London. Okay, what's
it's Black Mass. You guys didn't see Black Mass.
Is that the Johnny Depp one?
I thought that was Johnny Depp.
But yes, but Benedict Cumberbatch is in it as well.
Didn't know that.
Never saw it. Heard it's good.
Who else?
I'm trying to think of like, is there a all that really comes to
Joaquin Phoenix and Napoleon.
Oh yeah.
Any Nick Cage movie. That's a good answer too.
Gal Gadot and Ana de Armas really struggle to get their accents to constantly work
under control.
Yeah.
And I think Ana de Armas is a fantastic actress. Gal had moments, but she might be done. But like even in Ghosted, like I feel like her accent was all over the place.
Yeah.
JT says Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta. It's funny to think about these because I don't often think about them.
I don't either.
I'm trying to think of like somebody trying to do a Boston or New York. That's like
just doesn't work.
You clearly are trying.
Tom Hardy in anything where he speaks with an American accent,
or just anything with a Bane. There, his Bane accent. Oh, you did it! That in the dark.
I even think of Hardy's accent in Warrior. It's just it's thick. It's like super laid on, right? Like I don't even know if it's that inaccurate, but
he just chews through accent. Yeah, he's notorious for it, and it doesn't take away from his performances. No. It's just kind of one of those things you're like, oof. Jimmy Fallon in Fever Pitch.
I'm looking at a list currently, and it says Jeremy Irons, The House of Gucci. These are just the worst.
Oh, top the worst. I can't remember.
Russell Crowe, Robin Hood too.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Keanu's voice in like anything. Honestly, his natural accent feels
gross.
Feels like it doesn't belong in
anything
except John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even heard of some of these movies, man. Like, okay, Mike Myers, Austin Powers. There's Dick Van Dyke. Don Cheadle, the Ocean's trilogy. Because they talk like this.
That's right.
Oh, that's the end of the list. Thank you, Collider.
Oh, JT says Keanu Reeves is Duke Kaboom in Toy Story.
His Canadian.
Which one was
Duke
that?
Kaboom.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
Keanu in Cyberpunk. Fantastic.
Easton asks, doesn't Jared Leto have a bad one?
Oh, yeah, his Joker. Awful.
What
other movies? Want to beef?
Is that as much of an accent as it is just a choice?
What other movies has he done accents in?
Who, Leto?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Surely something in a...
getting sleepy over here.
I don't know. That's a fun one.
Kate Beckinsale's Romanian accent in Van Helsing. Underrated movie.
Oh, Florence Pugh's Russian accent in the MCU. I don't.
Olsen's Russian accent too.
Oh yeah.
That they were eventually just like, don't do that anymore.
Just drop it. It's fine. We don't want to be associated.
Has Tom Cruise ever had to do an accent?
Probably not.
I hope not.
If so, I'm sure he said no thank you and just did it in his own voice.
Robert Downey Jr.'s accent in Tropic Thunder.
Oh.
It's bad, but it's great.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, I just rewatched that movie.
I love that movie.
There, I got mine.
It's so good.
Finally thought of one, and it wasn't on a list.
Nice.
It's hard to think of a bad, good one.
Yeah.
A good bad one.
A good bad one.
I just think, Easton kind of laughed. He's like, so any Tom Hardy thing? Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed it. It's Max Rockatansky, though.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, hey. It's been an hour 40. Let's get out of here.
Yes.
We've done it again.
Thank you all for hanging out with us live, chatting with us.
On a Tuesday.
Tuesday, isn't it? We'll be back next week on Monday.
There's a bad accent for you.
And of course, you can always just catch the show on YouTube or on the pods, on your favorite podcast platform, whenever you'd like. So, cheers. We'll see you then.
Goodbye.